Hey guys, how's it going? If you saw my last video, you saw that I went to the dyno and I got some numbers for pump 93 and also E40. So I was just getting some baseline numbers on my stock turbo before I got the Flowmax turbo. And just to get some more baselines, I'm gonna run Draggy numbers 60 to 130 and 100 to 200 kilometers. The reason why I'm running the Draggy numbers is just like the dyno, it's another performance metric. Everybody is always focused on dyno numbers, but you know, every dyno is different. You can't always compare numbers from dyno to dyno. You know, sometimes the same car puts different power numbers on different dynos, or even the same dyno depending on the weather conditions. So this is another reason why I wanted to do Draggy runs, because I feel like it's a better way to compare cars. People are always focused on dyno numbers, but dyno numbers don't always tell the full story. Draggy numbers are another way to get more numbers that you can compare. So yeah, with the Draggy numbers and the dyno numbers, whenever I get the new turbo, I feel like I'll have a good baseline to compare against. My car put down, I believe, 458, almost 460 wheel horsepower on E40, and then almost 390 wheel horsepower on pump. I just wanted to show that, you know, even though my numbers might be lower on the dyno, in real life the Draggy might tell a different story. So yeah, I just wanted to get some numbers just to compare. So what I've seen to get the fastest time online is to start in third gear. So I'm gonna start in third gear, and then I'm gonna shift around 6200 RPM into fourth, and then into fifth, and I'm gonna drag out fifth until 130, just because shifting to sixth makes you lose time. You can see on the dyno that the power starts dying off after 6200 RPM. That's why it's nice to have a dyno, because you can see exactly where your power is and where you need to shift. So yeah, let's go get some 60 to 130 numbers. I'm headed to a private raceway to do it in a safe and controlled environment. So let's look at the Datalog for the first one. I started at around 3800 RPM, and then from third I shifted into fourth at 6400 almost, and then from fourth to fifth in about 6500, and then I held fifth all the way through. So you can see the boost was around 18 and 19 psi, closer to 19, and then obviously in fifth gear is peaking at like 19.3. This is around 1 pound more than I did on the dyno. And then looking at the cylinder timing correction, see that we have a little bit, but anything under -3 is fine. So yeah, at most we'll have -3. It went a little bit over, but I think that's fine. And looking at the timing, say around 18 pounds and 14, 15 degrees. 18 pounds, 14 and a half, 15 degrees, and on the top end, it's actually making around 16 and a half degrees. So that's 2 more degrees than we did on the dyno. And just to show you guys, it was on E38, same as what we had on the dyno. And for the IATs, we'd see it's a lot lower than it was on the dyno, starting at 57, going all the way up to around 77. On the dyno, it was around 100. So that's a lot lower. And lastly, looking at AFR, they look solid, around 12.5 to 12.7 all the way through. Let's see if we can get a better time. Alright, looks like we're faster on this run. I started around 3800 again, and then shifted at 6200, and then at 6000, and then for fifth gear I held it all the way through, and then around 18.8 pounds of boost. Over here you can see the boost kind of dies, and that's because I'm hitting the torque limiter. I thought it was off, but I guess not. But yeah, I hold in almost 20 pounds of boost, and then all the way up top 19. Let's look at timing correction. So getting a little more timing correction on this one, but not much. It honestly just dies down to 0. Cylinder 1 was a little bit more this time, but this was the fastest run yet. So for cylinder timing, you can see it's like 16.5 top of third, around 16.5 top of fourth, and then around 17.5, except for cylinder 2, top of fifth. So that's pretty good. IATs were a little higher at 63, and then going up to 8. And then AFRs were the same, 12.5 to 12.7. So this was the next day, and this one was actually the fastest time. I think it might be because this time I did it on a quarter tank of gas instead of one half on the last run, so probably a little bit lighter. Yeah, this one was the fastest yet. 19 pounds of boost at the top of each gear. Then I shifted from third to fourth at 6,200, 6,200 from fourth to fifth, and then held fifth all the way out. We can look at the timing correction. We didn't get much, none in third or fourth gear, and then in fifth gear we started to get some, and then it slowly went back to 0. As for the timing, we got around 16.5 degrees at 19 pounds in third, same 16.5 at 19 pounds in fourth, and then in fifth we actually got 17.5 at 19. So pretty good. The IATs were a little higher, starting at 64 and then going all the way up to 80. And then for the AFR, again, it was normal, 12.5 to 12.7 all the way through. Alright, I've been running the car out of gas for the past day and a half, and now I'm gonna go put in some 93 and let's get some Draggy numbers. Alright, just put 93 in the tank and we should see the ethanol content drop down. Right now it's around 39.40, and as we drive around we should see that drop down. This is in the MHD multi-map. This might be as low as it goes, but we'll see.
60.
Alright, these are the times we got for the 60 to 130 on pump gas. They're around what I expected, so let's look at the data log. Alright, so here's the data log for the 93 pull. Just to show you guys that I am on pump gas, let me show the ethanol content. You can see it's been 13 all the way through. It should be around 10, but this is the lowest I could get it. This is basically going to be the same as pump gas. And for boost, you can see that it's 18 psi at the top of each gear, maybe a little bit lower, 17.5. Again, I started the pull at like 3,500, and then I shifted at 6,200 from third to fourth, and then from fourth to fifth at 6,100, and then went all the way through in fifth gear. Looking at the timing correction, we can see again the pump gas quality wasn't the best, so I was getting a lot of timing correction. And if I were to stay on the off-the-shelf map, I would definitely go down to the 91 octane just to get better or more safe numbers for timing correction. And you can see it's like -7 to -2. It slowly gets better at the higher RPM. Maybe it's the car getting used to the tune, but let's look at the timing. So timing, I would say around like 8 degrees top of third, from like maybe 6, and like cylinder one's getting like 3.
So timing isn't really the best all the way through. And then looking at that AFRs were solid, like 12.6 to 12.8. They're a little higher than ethanol. And then IATs were a little bit higher, but you can see when we start the pull, it drops down to 68 and then goes back up to 81. And the ambient temperature outside was 42, so about the same as my ethanol runs. Let's try again.
60.
Alright, looks like we were able to get better times, and let's look over the Datalog. Alright, so for this pull I started around 3800 and then I shifted into third or fourth at 6000 and then shifted again into fifth at around 6100 and then stayed in through fifth. It looks like we're making about the same boost, around 17.5 to 18 psi. And let's look at the timing corrections for this one. Alright, looks like the car might have gotten used to the tune a little more because the timing corrections are definitely a lot better. They're a lot closer to -3 and below what I like to see, but you can still see that they're a little high, so I would be careful with this. Let's look at the timing. So for timing, you can see we start off at around 4 to 5 and then peak we're around 17.5 pounds of boost with 3 to 6 in third, around 5 to 2 in fourth, and then around like 9 to 5, which isn't the best, honestly. I would definitely be more careful running this off-the-shelf map. Definitely go to the 91 to get a safer tune. For ITs, we started at 60, similar to the other one, and then we went up to 80, or 75 actually. And then for AFRs, around, they're a little higher, from 12.7 to close to 13, 12.9. So the AFRs look good. One thing I didn't show on the other run, but I was having this issue as well, is you see we are hitting the torque limiter a lot. I thought I had XHP flashed, but I guess it's not properly flashed. I probably need to flash it again, but just for consistency's sake, I decided to run the car the same as I did on E40. Alright, so those were my Draggy times, and we can compare the Dyno versus the Draggy times. So on my Dyno, I made 458 wheel horsepower on E40, but my Draggy 60 to 130 time was 8.73. Let me compare that with Kern 417. If you guys are watching my videos, chances are you already know who he is, but if you don't, let me link the video I'm referencing below. He has some amazing content on the B58, and he's sort of like a B58 guru. You should definitely check him out if you haven't already, and tell him I sent you. I'm just going to use him as an example to compare dyno numbers versus Draggy numbers. So this was his dyno. He made almost 480 wheel horsepower, which is around 20 more than I did, and he's also on a stock turbo with the Kelford Stage 1 cams and a custom tune. So technically my run should be slower than his, but as you can see, mine are almost exactly the same, and my 100 to 200 is actually a little bit faster. Now some of this is because I'm at a lower altitude with a better DA, but this also goes to show you that dyno numbers don't always tell the full story. That's why it's so important to get other things such as Draggy numbers to compare. But yeah, anyways, thanks for watching, and let me give you guys a sneak peek on what's coming next. My Flowmax Turbo finally came in, so in the next episode hopefully I'll be installing it, and then we can go from there. Get some new Draggy numbers and dyno numbers. Thanks so much for watching.